ultimate football fan is now here.
All the biggest fan channels in one place.
Next night stand.
100% Chelsea.
Arsenal Fan TV.
All about the fans.
Why is he on the fucking pitch? What for what?
Exclusive content only here.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to
The UFF Daily Football Show.
The #1 source, everything going on in the football world, daily.
UFF. Do what you have to do.
Hello and welcome to FanPark Live's Head-to-Heads, where we've partnered with history to bring you the most controversial topics and debates. Today I'm joined by Chris.
What's good?
And
Devo.
And we are going to be debating who had the best World Cup teams, not just in one year, but teams. And that is Brazil versus Italy. Who's going to be arguing for which side?
I'm gonna do Italy. I'm gonna do a little bit differently this week.
Are you sure you want it?
I want a challenge. Yeah. So
That leaves me with Brazil.
And you feel like you got this in the bag, right?
Well, you know what? Football's a funny old game, isn't it?
It is. So we are going to give these guys 2 minutes to present their opening gambit, allow them to present their case for why which team is better than the other. And then we're going to take some of your calls, hear from some influencers, and we're going to read out some of your comments as well. But make sure you do call us on 0203 606 0315. Make sure you vote on Twitter. I've just been told we don't have any influencer videos, so we're not going to do that, so just to let you know. But yeah, we're going to go through some of your comments on YouTube and on Twitter. Make sure you vote there. Who wants to go first? That's the question.
Am I going first?
He just said
right.
you.
I'll go first.
You know what that means?
You know what?
He wants to hear what you have to say
Yeah,
so he can
alright.
debunk
Cool.
you.
All right, fine.
Alright.
Firstly, let me start off by just saying, as a kid, every single child watched a Brazil team or a Brazil player and had an idol from that country due to their World Cup performances. Most will say it's Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo,
Fat
Big
Ronaldo.
Ron, not Little Ron, Big Ron. You have Roberto Carlos, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, all of these legends of the game from Brazil. And it all goes back to 1970, which is arguably the greatest World Cup team ever. Okay, when you go back and you watch
the
videos,
one that you never watched.
I had videos. I had a video
Relax.
when I was a child called The Boys from Brazil. It highlighted Brazil from 1954 all the way up to 1990. And I used to study that video. So you had players back in 1970, Jairzinho, Pele, obviously, Socrates, all of these big names around the era. But everyone remembers the World Cup final where they destroyed, I can't remember who they played.
Oh,
Was it?
I mean,
was it
you said
Italy?
you studied
Was
it,
it?
right?
Was it Italy?
Oh no, he studied it.
Yeah. So they beat them 4-1 in the final. And everyone remembers the classic goal, the last goal with Carlos Alberto running up on the wing and just packing it. About 13 passes or something in that move. Started off at a walking pace, ended up devastating. And that's Brazil. They play football the right way. Always have. Samba football. Always entertaining.
Ole.
There you go. Always entertaining. And they just bring a smile to people's faces when they watch. And they've won more World Cups than anyone else.
True.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay, you've done it with time to spare. Chris, what do you have to say?
The reason I consider, or the reason I argue that Italy are the best team to feature in World Cup history is because quite naturally they've got the second most, like fourth behind Brazil, possibly Germany as well. I think Germany got 5. I think the last one is the 5th one, maybe. Like, I'm not too sure about that.
We can check that.
Yeah, we can check that. But they've been able to do it without necessarily having some of the greatest players of all time in there. And for me, that has value in of itself. If you think about it, outside of Dino Zoff, really and truly, maybe a couple of defenders. I'm thinking, what's his name? Baresi. There's not many players that you can think of that have been part of those World Cup winning teams for Italy. So you've got 1934, 1938, 1982, 2006, that would walk into the best of all time like teams if you were to get players like that. Brazil have had that available to them, and I think for me that has more value than just having literally just a Harlem Globetrotters equivalent of a team put together. I think if you factor in that they've also ushered in a style of football that isn't necessarily the most attractive, but probably the most effective outside of the offensive-minded football that Brazil have played. We know that Holland, with total football in the 1970s, also never won a World Cup with that. Germany play efficient football, but at the same time, again, they've got players that can walk into the best of all times in terms of likes of, the Mullers, like Muller, Beckenbauer, so on and so on. Italy have not had those players. They've had those players, but they've not won World Cups with those players, and I think that says a lot about them. If you look at the defensive catenaccio, that's what they call it, right? More teams in the modern age have found success in the international level playing that brand of football where it's solid, defence-minded, team-orientated defence. And that's all comes down from Italy's style. That's what Italy ushered in the 1950s with the Inter Milan when they started becoming European powerhouses way back when. And for that reason, I feel like the legacy of Italian football doesn't rely on greats like Ronaldo, like Pele, so on and so on.
Okay. That was a trip through the history books. I feel like I went, where was that? 1930s, 1970s.
Yeah, you did diligence over here. We do our work.
Trip around the world as well. Mention Holland. Right, guys. We definitely want to hear what you have to say. Is it Brazil that's the best team? Is it Italy that's the best team? I know what I think, but I'm meant to be impartial, so I'm going to grill both of them. But as I said, make sure you call in 0203 606 0315 and ask questions yourself, because both of these guys, they need to get pressed. Otherwise,
I don't mind.
Otherwise, one of them is just going to walk all over the other. It's not going to work like that. But do either of you have questions for the other that you want to?
I mean, like I said, right? So we both have like modern teams that we can look back on and say like we at least watch. I'm assuming you watched the Brazil 2002 team.
Yeah.
I'd also assume that you watched the Italy 2006 winning team, right?
Yeah.
For me, what was the greater achievement? Because I'd rather talk about that, because that's something that we've watched with our own eyes. When we talk about, I can talk about, the 1930s, Italy winning team. You can talk about the teams that won in the 70s and the early 50s, but we never watched that.
Yeah.
A lot of that is highlights on YouTube and like tapes and stuff, or word of mouth that you heard from other guys that.
Or Brazil boy videos.
Boys from Brazil.
That's the one.
Do you know what I'm saying? But like for me, that's not the same as obviously experiencing something. Even let's even to bring it to the modern age, right? What was the greater team in terms of World Cup winning sides? That 2002 team didn't win the tournament where they faced competition.
Oh,
it's
my
a World Cup.
God.
It's a World Cup.
I hear you.
There's competition.
I hear you.
My
I hear you. But let's talk.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
Let's run through that tournament, because I can name who Italy beat on the way there, right? So Brazil, from the group stages, I think you had China, they had Belgium. This is literally off the top of the dome. Yeah. Possibly Turkey, because I feel like that's who Rivaldo did. When he did the fake thing.
Stages.
Yeah, I don't know if they faced them again or they may have faced them again. I'm not too sure. I don't even know if that's possible. Who else? So that they faced them. England.
Yeah.
Round of 16.
That one. Yeah.
England round of 16. Who did they face in the quarters and the semis? Maybe Turkey may have been in one of those. Yeah. Those.
Right. Hold on. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So in the final that Italy played, who got sent off?
Zidane.
Okay, so is there not every reason to believe that had Zidane not got sent off, who also won Player of the Tournament in that thing, that France would have won, and Italy only won the World Cup because they had a man advantage?
But you talking like we didn't beat the hosts on the way there.
Okay, what's host?
So like I'm saying the difference between Italy winning it in 2006 and Brazil winning it in 2002 is Italy did it not only without being the favourites of that tournament, but also had a harder route into like getting that trophy. Whilst for me, Brazil, it was literally, you may just say, okay, they just had the best team and they just did what they had to do. Yeah. But you say that like, they didn't, like, hold on. You say that like Germany in 2002 were missing their best player.
Yeah.
Throughout the entirety of the game.
But I think for me, the
argument... Michael Ballack, the guy who literally was carrying the team throughout that whole tournament.
But the argument is, and I always say this argument when people say, it's like, now with the Champions League, people saying Liverpool had an easy run. You can only beat what's in front of you. And you have to do that. You have to be professional enough to do that. Because a lot of teams, they play so-called lesser teams and they switch off. And they come unstuck. France did it against Senegal. Yeah, Argentina did it against Cameroon in 1990. It happens a lot. So to have the professionalism to beat every team in front of you, surely that's worth something.
I'm not saying it's not worth anything. I'm saying that when you weigh it up against, put it this way, right? So Real Madrid, I'm just using it as a comparison, right? Real Madrid are in another final. Yeah. They very well may win it. They may do. For me,
they better win it.
They will. They better win it. They may do, right? Yeah. But if you compare it to their run last season, yes, of course you have to beat what's in front of you, and ultimately it's the result that matters. But anyone that goes beyond superficial analysis will also look at the fact that that was not the route to a final may be the same in terms of group stage, round 16, quarters, semi-finals, final. But the actual, if you actually look a little bit deeper, you see the difficulty. For me, personally speaking, if you compare that 2002 team and their route to the final, had they faced a team even on the level of Germany, who weren't even the good Germany side, that was literally Oliver Kahn and Ballack, right? That tournament, right? Obviously, you can't take away from players like Scholl and so on and so on, but that wasn't the hardest game that they had. Ultimately, was England. Think about that for a second. That tournament.
I don't know about that. That
in terms of the route to the final, I'm not just talking about the team, but also the fact that they played a man down for almost a whole half.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most difficult game.
Okay.
In a round of 16. And even if you look at the 1994 team, that wasn't a team that particularly inspires. When you talk about
that
the
wasn't one
teams.
of the better teams. No.
I think they won it. No, they didn't win in the early 80s. They had like a great squad, but didn't win in the early 80s.
No.
They won it like 1970.
And a massive gap between 70 and
right. So it's like we think of the team that won it in the 1950s when Pele won it when he was 17. We don't remember that team. We remember Pele.
Yeah.
The 1972 team. Listen, I'll give it up to you. Great team. That's an absolute fantastic team, right? Of course, they didn't win it in the 1980s. 1994, even that team doesn't, like, Brazilians don't talk about that tournament. If anything, the 98 team should have been a team that was like, yo.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
Yeah, France to France.
Ronaldo's
and obviously they did what they did in 2002. So for me, it's just like, don't get me wrong, Brazil is a great footballing nation.
Yeah.
Obviously the World Cup is a big part of that. I feel like it's more to do with the fact that Brazil have great players.
But let me ask you, we're talking about the greatest World Cup team, but when you think of World Cup, what's the first image that you get in your head?
One word answer.
France 98. I'm French. I'm
right, we're going to take some calls quickly. It's bias. Yeah, please. Hello, you're free to FanPark Live. What's your name? And who do you want to talk to?
Yeah, my name is Jason.
Hello, Jason. Which team was the best?
In my opinion, I think Brazil.
Why is that?
Because honestly, the only team you can compare to Brazil would be Germany. If you look at the amount of times they get through the quarterfinals, if you compare it to Italy, for example, the last two World Cups, they haven't even been able to get out of the group. They didn't even qualify for Russia 2018.
Boy. Does that not speak for
I'm not gonna lie to you, Jason has a very Portuguese sounding accent. So I'm thinking this guy is got some sort of Brazilian heritage, so there's a bit of bias. But I can't listen, you can't deny facts.
I'm not Brazilian, man.
Where are you from, Jason?
Where are you from, Jason?
I'm from the Netherlands.
Fair enough.
No link whatsoever. I tried to force a Portuguese.
I'm from South London. I don't know. I'm not cultured. No, but to be fair, like, listen, you can't deny facts. Brazil, like, you can't take away from Brazil's legacy in the tournament in terms of how many times they've gone past the quarterfinals, so on and so on. But for me, I just feel like Brazil is a team.
We are fair. Like, if we look at the times they won the World Cup, Italy won the World Cup twice before the Second World War. Yeah. After that, they won it twice, and I think 82 and 2006, of course, the last one that we all remember.
Yeah.
In 2006, they won it against France. If it was not for France eliminating Brazil in that World Cup, I think Brazil would have won it as well because they were the favourites.
That is listen, Jason, that's a very good point. Thank you very much for your
call. Let's talk about that actually, because that's interesting.
Go on.
Brazil weren't a good team in 2006. They weren't a good team. We thought that team would be absolutely insane. Like, they had Robinho on the bench. They were starting Ronaldo and Adriano up front. This is like Adriano. This is pro-evolution Adriano. Pick up the ball.
99 shot
power. You know what I mean? They had Kaká, Ronaldinho, Zé Like, we thought that team was a top team. They will not get to the... Like, there's no way Portugal would have beaten them.
I don't know.
Portugal.
Next call?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't their strongest, but it still was a very good team. It wasn't the strongest Brazil team, but compared to everyone else, it's still a very,
like, for me,
good
Italy,
team.
From the Italy teams, like, listen, Italy weren't the best international team in 1982, right? They weren't the best team in 2006, but they won it. For me, Brazil, again, it goes back to your point about you can only beat what's in front of you, and that's valid. Like, I don't take anything away from that, but I don't feel like they've had a victory that was seen as maybe punching them up their weight or an overachievement of sorts. Like 2006, people forget, like, Italian football was a mess.
It was a mess, yeah.
That was when the scandal happened. So, of course, when you think of one iconic team, let's not be disingenuous. The 1970 Brazilian team is iconic. Like it's for me, it's on the same level as the Barcelona under Pep Guardiola. Like as a team, when you think of football in a particular generation, Brazil 1970, we all remember that goal. We remember the players. But I think just over the course of the history of football, I think there's a lot of undervaluation of what Italy has brought to football, because not only have they brought a style of football, it may not be the most attractive, but it doesn't require the best players. And they've been able to have exceptional success as a nation.
Then you also have to remember, it's like what you said before about Italy maybe not being the strong favourites. The pressures that come with being a favourites, and Brazil are favourites for every tournament they go into, and they're under huge pressure at home, around the world. These players have to deliver, and the fact that they've won more than anyone else, that means something as well. Playing under that much pressure, we've seen it like with England players when we think, right, we're going to have a good tournament, and they go home after the group stages. Brazil are always thereabouts at the business end of the tournament. It's very rare you see them go out early.
Well, we're going to take another call.
Cool.
I mean, I did say something earlier, but I think you're too busy on Discord. Hello, you're free to FanPark Live. What's your name and who do you want to speak to?
Hello, how are you?
I'm brilliant.
Good,
man. How are you?
I'm alright. I'm a Brazil fan, and I'd just like to check. I think one of your gentlemen said Brazil '94 is not such a storied team.
No, I don't believe so.
I've never called in before, but I think that's the most ridiculous statement.
Oh, really? No, I'm interested. Okay. So
why'd you say that?
Why'd you say that?
But I think that's the most ridiculous statement.
Hello?
Because Brazil '94, you must remember that from goalkeeper to striker, from Tafarel to Romario, was a tactically complete team.
Okay. So what do you have to say to that, Chris?
Man like Dunga.
I mean, okay, so who do you have there? You got Tafarel, great goalkeeper. You got Romario, great goalkeeper. Bebeto, I wouldn't say great striker at that time in particular. Cafu was playing at the side at the time, so I'm going to give Cafu his props. I'm unsure if Roberto Carlos was a starting left back.
No,
but outside of that,
Branco.
That's it. But you, okay. That's,
Dunga.
Dunga, Tafarel, Cafu, Romario, 4. Keep going. I want 7 more players.
Is it Matt?
You've forgotten his name.
Tiago's dad.
So Tiago's dad. So we talk about Tiago. We need to talk about great players, because we can go through the 2002 team.
This is what he was saying. Is as a team, they were a lot more tactically complete, because they had Dunga in their holding. They had, I can't remember Tiago's dad's name, but he was another combative midfielder. Branco left back. Romario and Bebeto were the stars of the team. Obviously, everyone remembers our celebration.
You say stars, plural.
They were the stars of the team.
Plural.
Bebeto wasn't no. Bebeto wasn't a star going into the tournament, but he definitely left the tournament a star.
You can't name me a club side that Bebeto did his thing for. That was not a star.
Deportivo.
Boom, and wow. You know what? I'm sorry. That's brilliant. That's actually brilliant.
Bebeto was a star for Deportivo.
You didn't even know he was going to come out of that. Oh, no, guys. We're going to through the...
This is the most disingenuous thing I've ever heard.
Right. Obviously, I feel like you've been a bit hard done by, because the polls are saying 87% for Brazil.
Of course.
3,639
I expect them to say that. It's fine. Like
Italy 13%. But I do think you've held it up. You've done really well.
Yeah, like I don't feel. Listen, the fans. I appreciate it. Like, and I expect that. If anything, I expect it to be shot like 90 plus. To be fair, so that little 3%. Thank you.
Well, someone here says Italy ain't going to the World Cup. I mean. Yeah. But that's
that in itself.
That's an anomaly.
They've got some good players, Italy. I don't understand how they're not going to this World Cup.
I think even if they were to go this year, I don't really see.
Shit happens.
I don't know.
The identity of Italian football is a bit up and down at the moment, anyway. So it is what it is. I mean, listen. Even in response to that caller there, I'm not saying Brazil, was a tactically cohesive side. I mean, I don't see how you can win a World Cup and not be. But so were Greece in 2004. It doesn't make them great.
Yeah, let's not talk about that one.
Portugal won the European Championship in 2016.
Yeah.
That, again, very cohesive, very boring for the first half of the tournament. Like I don't think they scored a single goal or something crazy like that.
Struggled.
Yeah.
But we don't, like, what is the biggest moment from the 1994 World Cup?
For me, Diana Ross missing that penalty.
Exactly. Roberto Baggio missing this penalty is a bigger thing than any Brazil moment.
That was not the best World Cup on record.
Wow.
Let's
Do you know what I'm saying? So so it's just like. Take that call.
Hello, you're free to FanPark Live. What's your name and who do you think was the best World Cup team?
It's Neeks from Neeks Sports.
Hello, Neeks. How you doing, mate?
And I got an issue with Chris today.
My guy, my G. Let's go.
What's the issue?
For me, Brazil are the best World Cup team. Chris made some valiant points, but
Valiant. I like that.
That's
some Game of Thrones shit right there. Valiant,
one thing he's saying is that Brazil or Italy, they never had like the best World Cup team when the times they won it, which is fair enough. But that's the argument of which team has overachieved the most, and you could say Italy have overachieved more than Brazil based on the quality of their players. But you cannot penalise Brazil for producing world-class players. When you enter an international tournament,
I did a lot of clapping for neutral guy.
when you enter international tournament, that is a country producing players to represent the country. Brazil have been producing the best players to represent their country. You can't fault them for that. You commend them for that. That's why they are the best international team. But you mentioned obviously the 1970 team, which some say is the greatest international team of all time. So that's one. The 1982 team, which lost I think, Italy in the final 3-2, Paolo Rossi. Well, sorry, in the semi-finals possibly. But they say that's the greatest. That's probably the best team never to win the World Cup. They speak about Netherlands as a nation as being the best nation ever to win. But as a team, the 1982 team, this was Zico and I think Socrates and others, was the best never to win the World Cup. So they not only have Brazil produced the best ever team to win it, they've also produced the best team never to win it. Then we speak about the period of 94 through to 2002, when I would argue, for me, that cemented Brazil's position as the greatest team of all time, because from 94 to 2002, they were undoubtedly the best team in the world. 1998, they lost to France in the final, fair enough. But for me, there was a lot that happened in that final. One, Ronaldo, we know what happened there, but why? And you mentioned Ballack being injured for the 2002 final. If Ronaldo was properly fit for the 1998 final, it would have been a different story because that was his tournament. The 1994 team you've mentioned and put some kind of doubt on. There were quality players and a quality team in that who then produced in the next two tournaments. Cafu, who wasn't necessarily first choice in 94, but obviously he was a mainstay going forward. And in 2002 was the redemption of Ronaldo after 1998. And it had world Ballon d'Or winners of Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, and obviously Ronaldo himself, among others. I think there's not even an argument really for me about who is the best World Cup team, because Brazil are the World Cup, and there is no World Cup without Brazil. This year there is a World Cup without Italy, and some Italians may miss them, but the World Cup will be what the World Cup would be with or without Italy.
Resounding. Wow. You know, I'm not even going to say bye.
Wait, Nick, when you in the studio?
Hey,
Nick, when you in the studio? Hey, I'm in the studio for the whole week, me and you, like.
I'm not going to, listen. He did well.
You, man, you two, obviously, you and Nick.
No, we're not. Like I said, you made some valiant points.
No.
Yo.
So,
do you know when a man just like, you know that gut punch?
Yeah, he got you.
Got you on the ropes.
But he wasn't around. Like, I don't understand. Listen,
no World Cup.
Hold on, wait, chill. Nix, firstly, how old are you? I want to know how old you were in 1982 when you're telling me that, without a shadow of a doubt, that the 1982 team was the best team to have never won.
He had the same video as me when he was a kid, bro.
My guy.
Seen the same
Man, sharing tapes. How many downs?
All right. So obviously it's time to pick a winner. I think you already know what time it is.
I'm good. I did my thing.
But the only reason I'm going to give it is because both of you mentioned style of play. You spoke about Italy bringing through a low block. What was it? Catenaccio?
Yeah, Catenaccio.
Catenaccio.
have to like season that shit.
And then you mentioned the Samba style of play. I think ultimately that's what it boils down to. A subjective choice of whether you prefer the defensive, organised low block, or whether you prefer the Samba, salsa, flary style of play. Yeah. I think because that's more memorable. Anytime I hear that Joga Bonito, all I think of is Brazil. If you tell me the other day we had the debate about the most iconic World Cup kit, it's that one with the Brazilians with the 9 in their kit. I even remember the ball. I remember Ronaldo's stupid haircut. Yeah. I think like Brazil, as he said, are the World Cup, and for that reason, I have to give it to Devil. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologise. You did his thing.
No, you don't.
If it was any other
man.
team, if he had France,
I know.
I think I would have given it to you.
I know.
I'm really sorry.
It's good. It's good. It's a warm up. There's a lot more of these attempts to go.
Yeah,
I'll be around.
yeah. There are. So make sure you check out the channel for those games as well. Thank you very much to the callers, and thank you very much to the people that have been
Neeks,
voting.
Neeks, come around the corner, bro. I'm coming for you, bro.
Outside, yeah.
I'm coming for you.
You heard it in first, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow.